7 from the book 100 Snowflakes to Crochet, and I'm hoping to get through all 100 at least until Christmas, but we're gonna find out. So the last one that we did was called Polar Glacier, and we added a bunch of these little picots here, and it's super cute, came out very nice. So next we're going to do this one called Droxtal. It's also 3 rounds. So for this one, I've done quite a few in these lighter colors, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to the darker one. And this one, there we go. It also has 3 rows, so I'm going to make my slip stitch, or 3 rounds rather. I'm not used to working in the round too much, so this is kind of nice practice for me as well. So kind of like with the first 6, it starts with a foundation ring, so we're going to chain 6. Oop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I know with this darker one it's going to be a little hard to see, but I need the dark ones to be my ice on the bottom of my my little art installation, I guess, art piece, wall piece, whatever you want to call it. So we are going to go ahead and start the first round. So it's chain 1. This is going to count as our single crochet, and then she says 11 single crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. Seven, 8, 9, 10. And on this last one, it always gets a little tricky because you don't want to lose the chain that counts as your single crochet, but you know it's going to be very tight and very close. So I'm going to go ahead and find my chain 1 that was on the bottom here. And I'm going to do a slip stitch. And we have that as our first round, just like everything else so far, at least up to number 7 here. And so for our round 2, we're already going to start kind of giving it some shape. So we are going to do a chain 1, and that is going to count as our first single crochet. And then we are going to single crochet into this next stitch, which again, a little hard to see. And we are going to chain 8. And we're going to slip stitch back into that first chain. And this is actually going to be our first picot for this. So eventually for round 3, as we continue going, it's just going to build up and stiffen this picot here. So we're going to do just this same pattern and repeat it. So we're going to anchor this down with a single crochet. And we're going to do our next single crochet. And we're going to chain 8. We're going to slip stitch here, form our next picot, and we're going to single crochet into the single crochet, and just keep working our way around. And the nice thing about a lot of these patterns is that they are symmetrical, so you know when you've done something kind of off, it should be fairly obvious. And I'm going to slip stitch that into here. There we go. And I did just put up a video about the piece that I have knitted. It is a capelet, and the design is from the Jane Victoria, which is the cutest little shop on Etsy. And I'm super excited because I've never really heard or seen anything about capelets before. Obviously, you see them in period movies and, you know, where they kind of came from, but you never really see them anywhere else outside of that. Lately, it's kind of like shawls have taken over, those really big, pretty shawls that drape over your shoulders and stuff like that. But I'm kind of excited because the capelet is actually going to be tied up around around the neck with these cute little leaves, and I just think it's going to look really cute. I do want to do a different color for the leaves, so I don't want it to be all pink, because I think that would just be a little too much, and then the leaves would kind of lose their detail. So I'm trying to figure out what color I should do. I think usually pink goes with a really nice gray, or maybe like a brown, maybe a chocolate brown for that would be really cute, so that the leaves don't quite clash with the pink on the capelet. I think that would actually be really fun. And so here we're going to do our last picot. So we're going to do chain 8. And we're going to slip stitch here into this first one. And single crochet here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all we're going to do is slip stitch with that chain 1. And that is our second round. So this is round 2. Now we're going to build up on these picots. So for round 3, we're going to, what I already did, slip stitch, and, oh, nope, actually we're going to slip stitch into this next one. And then in the first chain 2s. So we're going to do a slip stitch here. Oop. And another slip stitch into the chain itself, just to secure that. There we go. So that is 2 slip stitches into the picot there. And now we're going to do 3 double crochets. So in US terminology, that is wrap around 1, pull through 1, and you pull through 2 twice. I know US and UK terminology are usually a little bit, well, they are different. I'm not entirely sure what a UK double crochet would be. I think it's equivalent to a treble in US terminology, but I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that one. So we're also going to chain 3 to give this a little bit of a puff at the top, and we're going to go back to our 3 double crochets. Oop. That would have been a single crochet. You want a double? And we just keep working our way around. So it's going to make almost kind of like a traditional snowflake here. So we're doing 3 double crochets into the top of this picot. So that's 1, whoops, 2, and 3. And then 3 chain, or chain 3 rather. So 1, 2, 3, just to kind of make that little peak here at the top. Then we're going to do 3 double crochets again. It's a little warm here today, so the yarn is sticking to my fingers a little bit. There we go. I'm super excited for this. I cannot wait to see how it turns out. I think I'm going to have a little bit of a hard time maybe figuring out how to put the snowflakes together so that they don't stretch in an odd manner, so that they kind of keep their shape. I know once I starch them that they'll probably be okay, but I don't want to risk them deforming over time. It's not like they're super heavy either. I guess I'm a little worried about how they're going to hold up, especially the ones on the top when they're just kind of hanging from maybe like a nail or something. I don't want them to deform too much. So I guess I'll have to see about that. I wonder, probably starching them is going to keep it together fairly well and help them keep their shape, obviously. I mean, that's a known solution that has worked well for many, many years, especially for lace and starching shirts and collars and stuff like that. But I guess we'll see. I don't know what kind of starch to use. I know people have their own recipes. I don't know if it'd be worth making my own or risk making my own. Maybe at least 1 or 2 I could use as just a maybe a guinea pig, because some of them are not from this book anyways, so I could just kind of use those guys as testers, since I guess they're kind of extra anyways, but I do feel bad. I don't want to waste any of them if it does kind of go bad. I guess I could always rinse it off. It is just starch. I wonder, that could probably be washed off, right? I would think so. But I guess we're going to find out. Okay. And 1 more double crochet, and I'm on my last picot. And I forgot my scissors. Well, let's do this guy. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll do 3 chain, or chain 3. I don't know why I keep saying that backwards. There we go, and then we're just going to slip stitch them together. And that is going to get slip stitched here. And we have a little snowflake. This kind of looks more of like a traditional snowflake. There's not too many fancy things going on. And it's a little dark, obviously, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's a very traditional looking snowflake. I quite like this design. Again, only 3 rows, 3 rounds rather. Super simple. I'm just going to grab my scissors. And again, I won't bore you with tying in the ends here, so I'm just going to cut off this snowflake. Oop, that was a little long. I don't need all of that. But I guess if you wanted to make it into an ornament or something, or a lanyard, that would be pretty cute. Of just a bunch of these little snowflakes. I think that could be super fun. So that was number 7. So moving on to number 8. This one is called Flurry. It says this flake would fit perfectly with the others floating down in an early winter snow flurry. Perfect. This one has a little bit more picots than the last one, so I'm going to use a lighter color so that it's a little easier to see. And again, this one only has 3 rounds. I think the most complex one in this book has 4 rounds, so it's nothing too crazy. Most of the designs, as long as you can read a chart, basically, it's even easier because she gives you not just the written pattern, but also the chart. And I personally, I prefer the charts because I think they're just a little bit easier to read and easier to plan out in your head as well. So charts, as soon as you know how to read one, I think it just makes, it opens up the world of crochet for you. Oops, I'm gonna lose my slip stitch. Yeah. And if you can read charts, you also know, it gets a little bit easier to identify the ones that are wrong or maybe even AI generated. I've come across a few of those as well. And those are super obvious because in each round you should have some kind of slip stitch to basically start your second round, and the ones that are missing it, you can kind of tell that they're either weren't thought out too well or that it could possibly be AI. I didn't dig too much into it, but I'm pretty sure one of them was definitely AI. So for our first round, round 1, we're going to chain 3. And this is going to count as our double crochet. So we're going to do 1 double crochet. So we technically have our little grouping here of 2 double crochets. And we are going to chain 2 and 2 double crochets again. So 1 and 2. And we're going to chain 2 again. And do 2 double crochets. That is a set of 1, 2, 3. Chain 2. Do 2 double crochets. And you can see that's just setting up the spacing for round 3, which is, oh no, round 2, which is going to be working into these chain spaces. And that's a really, really good way of getting space, obviously, into your patterns and stuff like that. And it just gives you a little more wiggle room, a little more room to work with, and I don't know, it gives it a little sense of artistry as well. 4, so we want a total of 6 of these, and I have 4. So we're going to chain 2, do 2 more double crochet. That is 5. And we're going to do 1 more. Chain 2. Perfect. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is our last chain space. We're going to slip stitch it into the top of our chain 2, that, or chain 3 rather, that was acting as our double crochet. And that is our round 1. So round 2, we are again going to chain 3. I'm gonna give myself a little more yarn. So 1, 2, 3. And we are going to double crochet into 1 double crochet. So into this next one here. That's our double crochets, and now we're going to make another chain space working into the chain space. So we're going to do a double crochet into this chain space here. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to do another double crochet into the chain space. So as you can see, that's going to open that up and give us a little more of a pattern. It's going to be a little more visible. So to keep that same pattern, we're going to double crochet into both of the ones from the previous row down here. And we're going to do our chain space pattern, which is double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And again, just repeating that all the way around. And I love the way that these blues happen to come together. I was working on a different pattern for my Etsy. It was a tapestry, and I was originally going to make a shirt from the bright blue over here, and I kept working on it, but something kept stopping me, and I couldn't figure out what. I liked the shirt and I really wanted to do it, but there was just something holding me back. Every time I started it, I just realized that, I don't know, I wanted to do something else with this yarn, and that's when this project kind of came about. So I'm pretty content with that. I'm really excited to see this go all the way to the end. And again, we're gonna double crochet into the chain space, chain 2. Double crochet into the double crochets. And chain 2. All right. And coming up on our last chain space here, we're going to double crochet, do a chain 2, and a double crochet. To finish up, we're going to do our slip stitch into that chain 2. That was our initial double crochet, and that is going to finish up round 2. After that, we've only got one more round to finish up the snowflake. And that is our second round. There's a little bit of space here, but I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to close up as we work into round 3. But it's coming out pretty cute so far. Now, round 3 consists of creating the picots, which is going to be pretty fun. So here we're going to start and chain 1, which is going to count as a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 4 for the picot. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slip stitch into the 4th one from the hook, leaving this first one, which was your single crochet, technically. And that is the first picot of this round. We're going to sorry about that, I lost my place. And single crochet into the next 2 single crochets. Single crochet into the next 2 double crochets. Just kidding, I read that wrong. So that is going to be here. We're going to do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. And now again, we're going to be working into that chain space that we've been building up. So from here, it is going to be 1 single crochet to start us off. we are going to chain 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slip stitch into the 6th one from the hook. Close that. And we're going to chain 8. Slip stitch into the 8th from the hook. Now we're going to chain 6. And again, slip stitch into the 6th from the hook. And we're going to bring that back down with a single crochet into the chain space. And there you have your little leaf on top. Well, it's a snowflake, but you know what I mean. There's a little picot on top. Now we're just going to continue alternating between the small picot and the large set of 3 picots. So here we're going to single crochet into the double crochets. Actually, just that first one. Actually, I missed the opening, so we're going to go back here. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into the top of 2 double crochets. And then we're going to make our little picot. So the small picot was only chain 4. And it gets slip stitched back into this first chain. And you secure it back down with your single crochet. And we're going to just keep working our way around. So in the chain space, we have our single crochet. We have chain 6. We're going to slip stitch here into this first one. We're going to chain 8. And slip stitch back down here. And to make the last leg of our picot, we're going to chain 6. And slip stitch back into that first one. We're going to secure that down back into this chain space with a single crochet. Just don't get it wrapped around your picot. And then we're going to do, again, 2 single crochets. We're going to do a chain 4. Slip stitch into the first, or the 4th one from the hook, and 2 single crochets again. And we're just alternating the large picots with the small picots. And now we're in our chain space again, which is for the large picot. So we're going to single crochet into the chain space. We're going to go ahead and chain 6. And chain 8 for the tall one. Slip stitch that back into the beginning. We're going to chain 6. Slip stitch that back into the first one. And we're going to lock that down with our single crochet back into that chain space. And that's going to secure your picot, or at least that very large picot. Now she leaves some room here in the middle. It kind of gives it a little more space. You can see it a little bit better there. And we're going to do the small picot again. So single crochet, we're going to do 2. We're going to chain 4, slip stitch back into that first one, and single crochet into 2. And again, that's the nice thing about these patterns is they're so repetitive. They're great for beginners. They're very easy to follow, and there's only 3 rounds. There we go. We're about a little over halfway. Just going to finish up this little snowflake. So we're going to chain 6. As my yarn runs away from me there. Then we're going to chain 8. Slip stitch into that first one there. Chain 6. Slip stitch into the first one again. And secure that with a single crochet back into the chain space. Now we've got 2 single crochets again. And this one can be super easy to miss. So if you have that first one, your single crochet can actually kind of cover the top of that double crochet when it's really close to the chain space. So do just be careful of that. I've done it myself quite a few times, especially if I'm just kind of rushing through something. Very easy to miss. It can be a little annoying when you realize you've only done 3 and you need 4. So usually going back with crochet isn't too bad, but yeah, you prefer not to, I don't know, I guess not to make a mistake, but it definitely happens. And it's a fairly easy one to make. So we're going to do our 2 single crochets and finish up our chain space, which was a single crochet. We have chain 6. Slip stitch into that, chain 8 for the tall middle one. Slip stitch back down here. Just making our picots for that chain space. And the last one of the trifecta is going to be a chain 6. Slip stitch back into there. And single crochet back into that chain space. Now we have our last small picot and our last big one here into this empty chain space. So we're going to do 2 single crochets to start that small picot. It's going to be right into the top of your doubles, and we're going to chain 4, slip stitch into that first one to make the picot, and single crochet back down, securing it and letting us work our way around row 2. And then for our last picot and our last chain stitch here, we're going to single crochet into the chain space. We're going to chain 6, slip stitch into this first one here, chain 8, again slip stitch into the first one, and we're going to chain 6, slip stitch into that first one, single crochet into the chain space, and then that is our last one, and the book will probably tell us to slip stitch into our first single crochet here. Let me double check. Perfect. So we're going to join it with a slip stitch into our first single crochet, which was technically our chain 1, and that is our snowflake number 8. I'm going to cut this guy off. And again, if you wanted to make like an ornament or a lanyard, you could also just leave that string on, but I'm going to go ahead and weave that in later because I don't really want those showing on the project. And that is done. So we've done 2 snowflakes so far. I'm going to move on to number 9. which is called Narbonnais. So it takes its name from the Narbonnais, a sometimes stormy winter wind in France. Ah, okay. It is French. That's why I didn't know how to pronounce that. So this one is actually going to be rather similar to this one here. And it's just going to have slightly smaller picots on the ends, looks like. And it is also 4 rounds, which makes it a little bit wider. So we're going to go ahead and start that. I'm going to take my lighter yarn and also adjust myself because my foot is falling asleep. So I'm going to take my lighter yarn because I haven't done that one in a minute. And I'm going to slip knot that onto my crochet hook. Okay, and this one is a little bit different. So it's actually going to start with a chain 4, which is smaller than what we've done so far. So we're going to chain 4 and slip stitch into this first chain, which again is very interesting, much smaller than the ones we've done so far. And we are also going to, so for round 1, we're going to chain 3. So this is going to count as our first double crochet. Now we're going to chain 3 to make the chain space. So 1, 2, 3, and do a double crochet into this foundation chain, which is a little bit small, so it's a little tricky to do. And there we go. We're just going to repeat that 5 more times. 4 more times. So 1, 2, 3, double crochet into the chain space, foundation chain rather, excuse me. Well, the chain space of the foundation chain can also be said, I suppose. We're going to chain 3 again. Another double crochet here. Chain 3 again. Double crochet. And we're going to do that one more time. Double crochet. And again, we want 6. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we are just going to chain 3 and go into the third one on this long chain here, which one of them is going to represent our double crochet. So you've got to be a little careful to catch the chain, but it does come through, and we're just going to slip stitch those two together. I managed to zoom out. There we go. So that was our round 1. It's a little flimsy, but we're going to fix that as we work into the chain spaces. So let's go with round 2. We are going to slip stitch into the chain 3 space, which just allows us to start working in the chain space directly. And here we are going to chain 3, which is going to count again as our double crochet. And now we're going to do oops, did I do this right? Double crochet in the same space. So yes, so we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to chain 2 and do 2 double crochets into that chain space. And this one completely ignores this double crochet here in the beginning, so we're just going to continue working into the chain space. So we have 2 double crochets, chain 2, we have 2 double crochets, and we're not chaining 2 because we're just connecting the chain spaces. So chain 2 into the next chain space here. And chain 2 again. 2 double crochets. And that's stiffening up our chain spaces a little bit, so we're going to keep working into the next one. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, and 2 double crochets. Nice and simple. Skipping that double crochet from round 1, doing 2 double crochets into the chain space. Fighting with my ball of yarn. We're going to chain 2. Do 2 more double crochets. I should probably put these on a spinning thing or something. And our last one, we're going to chain 2, last chain space, 2 double crochets. Oh, now chain 2, and 2 double crochets. These are our last ones. We're going to slip stitch into the top of that first chain 3 that's acting as our double crochet. We're going to find that here, and you just want to get the top of that. There we go, didn't lose it completely. And that is our round 2. So for this one, we have a round 3 and 4. So for round 3, we're going to chain 3. It's going to count as our double crochet. Now we're going to do a double crochet into the top of our next double crochet from round 2. So 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets. And then into our chain space, we're going to do the same thing, except it's just going to be 1 double crochet. So here in the chain space, we're going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. And so again, we're just building into those chain spaces, giving some negative space into the pattern here. We're going to double crochet 4 times into the top of each one of the ones from the previous row, which is going to make it pretty sturdy. It was 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. For a chain space this time, it is just 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. Now we have 4 double crochets going into the top of the 4 from the previous row. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for the chain space, it's 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. And we're going to double crochet into all of the 4 double crochets from the other round. There we go, work into our chain space, chain 2, double crochet, and double crochet across these 4. 1, 2, 3. A little too tight on my yarn there. Redo that guy. Go second to last chain space. Do double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And we're going to chain, oh, not chain, 4 double crochets again. There we go. We have our last chain space here, so we're going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. And since we already have 2 of the double crochets used, we're going to finish up with 2 double crochets, where originally we would have done 4 from this pattern. And we're going to slip stitch the top of this one into the top of our double crochet chain 3. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch that, and that is going to finish up our round 3. So this one has 4 rounds, just to give it a little bit of extra volume. Whoops. And I think the last one is all, yes. So we have a few picots. There's a bigger picot and then a smaller picot. So to start round 4, we're going to go ahead and chain 1, which is going to count as our single crochet. We're going to single crochet into this double crochet. That is 1, and number 2. And again, we're going to be working in this chain space. So in here, we are going to do 2 single crochets. This one is a chain 5 picot. Oops. 4, 5, and 2 single crochets again. So this is the largest picot that we have, and it's just kind of building up off of this negative space, coming up here through the snowflake. And we're going to do 3 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3. This is going to be our small picot, which isn't really a picot because it doesn't connect to itself, but it's just a chain 3 and then back into our single crochets. Finish off the row of double crochets on the bottom. So 3 single crochets, chain 4, 3 single crochets. We're back into a chain space. We do 2 single crochets, chain 5 again, and 2 single crochets into that remaining chain space. And that's just the whole round. So we're going to finish off. We do 3 single crochets, there's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 3 for our small picot, and 3 single crochets again, bringing that back down and moving our way across the snowflake. 1, 2, and 3. We're back into the chain space, so we're going to do 2 single crochets, chain 5, and 2 single crochets. And that's just going to be our last round of the snowflake. It's building up quite nice, and it's giving it a little bit of a texture there. I think the chain spaces make some really nice negative space. So again, 3 single crochets, we're going to chain 3, 3 single crochets, back to our chain space, which is 2 single crochets, chain 5, and 2 single crochets. And in regards to picots, this one is pretty simple. There's not too much to it, but it's a very cute pattern. It's very sturdy. I think this one will be good on top of the wall art to kind of hold the other snowflakes hanging from it, which is going to be our snowfall. So I think it's going to look pretty good. I'm kind of excited. No, I'm very excited actually, but I just have, oh, I don't know, 90 something more snowflakes to go, which is quite a bit, but we'll get there. Slowly but surely. I was hoping to at least have it done before Christmas, which would be fantastic. Maybe be able to hang it up or something like that for Christmas dinner. I think that would be really nice, actually. So I'm hoping to be able to go through these as quickly as I can. And we're going to do 3 single crochets again. The chain 3. And this is going to be our last chain space. So for our slightly bigger picot, so 2 single crochets into that. We're going to chain 5. Do our 2 single crochets. And then our last little baby picot. So 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and this is actually where we started with our slip stitch, so we're going to chain 3 and slip stitch into that first single crochet, which was just our chain 1, and that's always fun. And that is snowflake number 9. This one's actually very cute. It is a little bit bigger than the ones we've previously done. This one's a little bit wider just because of the height of the picot, but this one also had, it's a little sturdier, and it had 4 rounds. And I think I'm going to end it there. I'm going to go ahead and weave in all these ends. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.